And we are live for not an episode of the Bronx Bomber Babble podcast, but an emergency episode because, there was a lineup released today that the Yankees, excuse me for a second. I just had the YouTube link open, so I couldn't hear.
Would you like me to do the intro?
And we're all good now.
Oh,
just a little technical. Just a little. I had the video playing in the background, so it was just playing back.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So, anyways, before I got rudely interrupted by my own misdoings, the Yankees and Red Sox are playing in a spring training game today. I believe, Alex, you said the last game televised by Yes before opening day.
The last Yes.
So game. That's a little milestone that makes you realize how close opening day is. But the main thing that we noticed today is the lineup that was posted, and a lot of strange positioning in this lineup, and we could talk about a few of the positions, right? Whether it's Gardy batting ninth, Stanton in his spot from last year at second. But the main thing that people were either very happy about, very excited about, or simply freaking out about was that Aaron Judge, for I believe the first time since high school, was in the leadoff spot. And this is something we've talked about on the show before, and a lot of members of the BBB are very against it. A lot of them, such as me, are very for Judge hitting leadoff. So I just wanted to start there, Alex. What was your reaction to seeing Judge in that leadoff spot?
I was surprised. It's one of the ideas that you just see that are like hypotheticals, but you don't actually expect to happen. But I was really surprised that Boone actually decided to go through with it, especially this late in spring training. Yeah, if it was an actual idea that he was considering, you'd think he'd have it, middle of March, like a week and a half ago or something like that, at least, not with a week left in the spring.
Yeah, because especially the last few games of spring, you start seeing what you're going to see in the regular season.
Exactly.
So the fact that he was, he's tinkering the lineup, which I don't know off the top of my head how many spring training games left, but obviously the season starts next Thursday. It really makes you say, is he thinking about this? Is he actually, considering the possibility of hitting Judge at leadoff? Because, look, to me, the main thing, we're just going to dive right into this because we don't want to make this a long episode. The main role that the leadoff hitter should do for your team is see pitches. And I know that really a leadoff hitter is only going to be technically the leadoff hitter at the beginning of the game, but it really is just the fact that I want my leadoff hitter having the most at-bats. I want my leadoff hitter with the most possible chances to go deep. And I don't think there's another guy than a guy better than Aaron Judge to complete that role. I mean, the guy saw 2,989 pitches last year. First in all baseball, 4.41 pitches per plate appearance, which was, I believe, third behind Carpenter of the Cardinals.
I think he was first, actually.
I think he was. I believe he was third.
First in the AL.
Yeah, first in the AL. Mm-hmm. And overall pitches seen, he was first. But yeah, pitches per plate third. But regardless, I mean, because look, people bring up the strikeouts and how he struck out over 200 times last year. Look, I'm just going to be frank. People really have to stop freaking out over strikeouts and acting like strikeouts are the be-all, end-all. You know what? To strike out, you know what you have to do to strike out, Alex? You know what a requirement to striking out is?
You pretty much have to work in a bat.
You have to see 3 pitches at least. So guess what? I would much rather have my leadoff hitter starting off a game with, let's say, an 8-pitch strikeout than, I don't know, let's say if Didi was the leadoff hitter. I'd rather see Judge strike out in 8 pitches than see Didi go up there and, swing at a 2-0 pitch and ground it out to second. It's just, I like having Judge. I would love having Judge in that leadoff spot. What about you, Alex?
I'm for Judge in leadoff spot. I don't think, personally, like the opening day lineup, Judge is going to be leading off. I think he'll be second and Gardner will be leading off. But Judge leading off, I think, is something they could like transition into during the season. And yeah, I agree with you with that. He works the count so many times, and that even though he strikes out so much, he will get on base, and he has such a good eye that he can work every single count and every single at bat that he's in. And a hitter like Gardner, who's also he's very good at working counts. So, I mean, Gardner leading off it's not a bad thing to happen. But Judge has I don't know, his on base percentage was what, 60 points higher than Gardner's?
Yeah, at
And he
least.
still struck out 200 times. So the whole overreaction over Judge's strikeouts and you can't have a leadoff hitter because he strikes out too much is a moot point, because when you're leading off, a strikeout and a ground out, literally there's no difference between them. They're an out either way. And the difference is that with Judge's strikeouts, he'll see a lot more pitches so that the at bat will go longer, and the pitcher has to work harder, which that's your job in the first inning, is to get out of the box and to see how the pitcher's doing, work him, and not give him a quick inning so that he just cruises on through the game.
Right. And because a lot of people cite the reason that they want Judge to be more towards the middle of the lineup is, oh, well, he needs to have runners on base. And, I know this stat probably could apply, might not be the best stat to use, but he hit 299 with no runners on last year. And with men on base, he hit 267, and men in scoring position, he hit 262. So obviously you're most likely going to have a slight drop off compared to no runners on to runners on base. But the fact of the matter is he was a 300 hitter with no runners on last year and closer to a 250 hitter with runners on last year.
With the bases empty, he also hit 28 home runs.
Exactly.
So imagine.
And I think Andrew was the one that said it in the group message. Imagine having, 10, 15 leadoff home runs throughout the season. That would be nice.
That would be fantastic.
I know we probably had one or two, but how many leadoff home runs did the Yankees have in 2017? And not that that's like a big stat, like, oh, well, you need at least 4 leadoff home runs to win a World Series. No, but it's something that's very nice, and it's a very good boost for your pitcher and your
Exactly. It takes so much pressure off the pitcher, especially if, say, you're on the road. Because I can remember, off the top of my head, I want to say 2 leadoff home runs by Gardner. I think he had one at Yankee Stadium and one in Seattle. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But it's just, especially with on the road, where you start off the top of the first inning with a leadoff home run, that takes so much pressure off your starting pitcher, because he gets to go into the bottom of the inning already up a run and doesn't have to have the pressure of giving up a run, and possibly, he has the chance to just relax and can go right at hitters.
Yeah, and with Judge, people arguing where to put him, whether he should hit first, whether he should hit third. The big thing for me with Judge last year was, his splits against righties and lefties were very different. He hit much better against righties and lefties. And I think I'm not too worried about that. And maybe I'm a little worried because he hit 230 with only 8 homers and 23 RBIs last year against lefties. But the really crazy splits for me with Judge were how much better he was at Yankee Stadium than on the road. Hit 312 with 33 homers at Yankee Stadium and 256 with 19 homers on the road. So where I'm going with that is I don't think where Judge hits in the lineup is all of that important, which is why I think he should hit leadoff, because, hey, it gives you the most at-bats. He would get the most at-bats if he was the leadoff hitter throughout the year, whether it's a lefty pitching or righty pitching, whether he's at home, whether he's on the road. Aaron Judge should be your leadoff hitter.
Yeah, especially because when you're at home, especially at Yankee Stadium, he has power to all fields. He could just hit one out right off the bat, and then he has the rest of the lineup behind him, and they can do stuff. And then, the Yankees could get 2 or 3 more runs, and also they would have a lot of pressure taken off of them at Yankee Stadium, and Judge would have 5 at bats every game. Where, if he was hitting second, it wouldn't be that big of a difference, but he would still. Having him hit leadoff would just give the Yankees such a bigger advantage.
And by the way, Judge, you say, if he was hitting second, I would also be very okay with him hitting second. Last year, while hitting second, 327 with 13 home runs and only 98 at bats. So, that could be a lot. It could be random, right? Like, it could just be, hey, he was hot when he was hitting second, but when they moved him to fifth, he was cold, and that's when he had his injury. So all these things can factor in. But Yeah.
Another interesting thing is that him batting cleanup, he hit 219 with 1 home run.
Yeah, and him batting third, he hit 239 and a lot. And that I believe, yeah, he got the most at bats hitting third, 226 at bats, only hit 239. So, like I said, I really think this guy would be made for the leadoff, the top of the lineup. And another thing people cite is the fact that Judge doesn't have speed. I think Judge is decently fast. I think Judge.
He's not. He's sneaky fast.
Yeah, he. You don't think of it really, but I mean, with those big strides, I mean, he could steal some bases.
Yeah, he stole.
I'm not saying he's going to steal 30 bases
last year.
I have to look it up, but he's a decent base runner. I believe he stole 9 bases last year. Got caught 4 times.
But even then, it really won't matter.
Oh, exactly.
Say he gets on base. He has Stanton, Bird, and Sanchez and Didi all behind him, where he doesn't need to be at second or third in order to score, because they are more than capable of hitting 1 out or hitting a double, and Judge can score on that.
Really, like if you're a fan, like who cares who gets the RBIs? Exactly. Guys on this team, are whether it's Bird, Didi, Garrett, somebody is going to get RBIs, and they're all probably going to be equally distributed. Especially if just think of it this way: if the bottom of the lineup starts producing, Judge is going to have plenty of RBI opportunities at that leadoff spot. No worries. And look, because like I was saying at the beginning of the year, I wanted Judge and Stanton hitting next to each other so they could protect each other. But if Judge is hitting leadoff, he's going to be protected regardless. Like absolutely, like, it's just it doesn't matter who's hitting behind that. Well, our good friend, and I'm glad he did this. Our good friend Andrew just sent us a little stat of Judge leading off an inning. And Alex, are you looking at this?
I am looking at this. Hey, my phone is not loading the picture.
These are some impressive numbers, so I'll just read them off. In leading off an inning last, Judge had 97 at-bats, 33 hits, 11 home runs. So it's good for a 340 average and a 439 on-base percentage leading off an inning last year.
That's impressive.
Are we geniuses? Are we the smartest podcast? I'm kidding. But yeah, it's an idea that's been in my head for the past couple months. It's been talked about on Yankees Twitter, podcast, all around. And I'm officially on the hit Aaron Judge leadoff train. I'm the conductor. I have a first-class ticket. I'm all aboard.
It's the type of thing where it's so unconventional, because you wouldn't think to bat a guy who had 52 home runs last year leadoff, but it just makes so much sense, especially with the thing that Andrew just posted. Shout out to Andrew. He hit 340 leading off an inning last year, which you would not think. He struck out 39 times in 97 at bats, which, I mean, that is a lot. I'm not going to say that's not a lot, but he also had a 439 on base percentage. So the strikeouts, like I was saying before, they really do not matter, because he still can get on a lot. Whereas Gardner, who doesn't strike out as much, he'll, hit a ground out to the second baseman, where in the long run, that's not going to matter for the outcome of that inning, whether Judge strikes out to start an inning or whether Gardner grounds out.
I really do think that there's just something to be said for when a pitcher starts a game, starting the game with Brett Gardner compared to starting the game with Aaron Judge. Like starting a game with Judge, it just puts you on edge right away.
Oh yeah. Think about it. You start off a game and you have to face Judge, Stanton, Bird, Sanchez, and Didi.
Yep.
Like, that's awful.
Yeah. And look, you would almost, like, if you start off with Gardner is by far the, all respect to Gardy, the least scary of those hitters.
And Gardner's he's not a bad hitter, but he's not gonna hit 50 home runs. He hit 21 last year, which is career high. So like, he's a good leadoff hitter, but batting him ninth and having Judge be the leadoff hitter makes much more sense, because even then Gardner's still batting right in front of Judge. You just have Judge get more at bats.
Mm-hmm. If we just were to classify Gardner in that group as the most likely to get out, the most likely to make an out, why would you bat him leadoff? And I think my worries about Gardner is he's gonna fall off. And the moment Gardner has any sort of fall off, he's not a leadoff hitter.
Well, that's what
It's a
seemed
simple
like
as
was
that.
happening to him last year. In
Mhm.
April, he was awful,
Yes, he was
and then
very
he turned
bad.
it on. But he really did not look good at all for the first month of the season last year. And after having a okay 2016, it did not look that good for him. Where I mean, he was really good last year in the long run, but who knows what's going to happen next year? Because you would not have thought with the season he had last year, he spent a month of the season hitting 190 and didn't have his first home run or RBI until the end of April.
No, absolutely. But yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up there. We just wanted to give our thoughts on the whole Aaron Judge leadoff debate. The man of the home runs, the man of the walks, the man of the strikeouts. Is he the man of the leadoff though? Wolf, let's
We'll
see.
find out.
Let's see how he does in his first leadoff at bat, and coming up in about 10, 15 minutes. But yeah, so we'll still have an episode most likely out for you guys Sunday. We'll have our big preview show Wednesday. And then once the season rolls on, man, we're not gonna stop. We're at any time there's something that happens in a game, anything, we're gonna be on here talking about it. So for Luigi, for Alex, this was an emergency episode of the Bronx Bomber Babble podcast. And Alex, eaters.
Eaters.